There's nothing like the warm smell of coffee. I would never mistake it for anything else in the world. But what exactly allows me to know the smell of coffee and can distinguish it from every other smell in the world?
Let's start out with how exactly olfaction, which is the scientific term for your sense of smell, works. The olfactory system relies on outside stimuli, such as spray from the skunk, to alert you to your nearby surroundings. While you may think you're just smelling skunk spray, you're actually smelling a mix of thiols, odorous molecules made of hydrogen, sulfur, and an R group that varies with each kind of thiol. Thiols and other volatile odorous molecules travel through the air into your nose. Kind of gross, right? Anyways, you breathe in these molecules and they travel to the olfactory epithelium. This is the tissue at the top of your nasal cavity that is made up of specialized cells called olfactory sensory neurons. These neurons have places for odorants to bind to, which are called olfactory receptors. You have around 400 functional types of olfactory receptors, and each one binds to only a few specific molecules. When a molecule binds to the olfactory receptor, it activates the olfactory neuron. This triggers a signal to a specific place on the olfactory bulb, called a glomerulus, which resides just underneath the brain. Families of similar olfactory receptors converge to a single glomerulus, with about 1,000 sensory neurons attaching to each one. And this is what begins the synaptic processing of the smell. Back to our larger diagram, you can see the signal gets relayed further into the olfactory bulb, and then to the orbitofrontal cortex, and then the hippocampus, which interprets the smell and commits it to memory. Next time you smell a skunk, you'll always remember it. Now, funnily enough, thiols appear in both skunk spray and coffee. So how do only 400 receptors distinguish between all the smells in the world? Receptors correspond to a few different odorants, so this increases the number of odors we can smell with just 400 unique receptors. Odors can also bind to multiple receptors with varying affinities, so this means there's more odors to be detected as different receptors send different signals to the brain. Finally, for odors like skunk spray, it actually is comprised of a mix of odorant molecules. This activates different olfactory receptors that can lead to many signals toward the brain, and together they form what we interpret as skunk.
These three factors allow less than 400 different olfactory receptors to detect over 1 trillion odors, and this opens up research to many different paths involving these powerful proteins.